What's up, guys? JP here. In this video, we're going to deploy React app in Firebase hosting. All right, so we're going to start in creating a new React app application. And then we're going to create a project in Firebase. After that, we're going to create a Firebase web application inside the Firebase project that we're going to create. And then after that, we're going to create a new instance of Firebase hosting. So in this instance of Firebase hosting, we're going to deploy here the React application that we're going to create. Then we're going to install Firebase SDK, and we're going to log in to Firebase using our Google account via Firebase CLI. And then we're going to configure the hosting requirements in our React project. And then after that, we're going to build the public files and we're going to deploy it to the Firebase hosting. So yeah, that's it. And then yeah, let's begin. So first thing we need to do is to create a React application. Okay, so I just opened my Visual Studio Code. So I created the folder React Firebase demo. So it's up to you. What do you want to name your folder? But this is just a naming convention. So we're going to use npx create React app, then the name of your project to create our new React application. So npx create dash React dash app, then the name of the project. In our case, we're going to name it as Fire Hosting Demo. Okay, so let's just wait for it to finish. And then once finished, you're going to see the following files on the left side of the screen. So as you can see on the left side, you'll have your name, Fire Hosting Demo. And inside of that, you'll have node modules, then public folder, source, a typical React project. Okay, so let's change the directory to Fire Hosting Demo and try to run the application using npm start. Okay, so as you can see here, our React application is now running. Okay, so that's it. And I changed little text in the home page. So we're going to see this changes later on in the Firebase hosting environment. So I just changed hello task tracker app. So basically in this video, we're going to create a task tracker app. And then we're going to deploy this to Fire hosting later on. Okay, so I just changed the text and that's it. Nothing special. All right, so next thing that we're going to do is to go to console.firebase.google.com for you to get started with Firebase. Okay, so we're going to create a new Firebase project. So let's just click this link, get started with the Firebase project. All right. And then a pop-up will display, which allows you to enter your project name. So whatever you want, okay, you just input it here. So in our case, it's task tracker. And let's just accept the terms and condition. Okay, then click continue. All right. Next is basically Google Analytics. So in this case, we're not going to use it. So just don't select the Google Analytics part. Okay, then continue. Great project. All right, so let's just wait for this task tracker to be completed. So for this sake of this video, I just fast forward it. So now it's completed. So let's click continue. All right, so after you click the continue button, you're going to see your uh, Firebase project that you have created. So in our case, it's a task tracker. So here is the homepage of your Firebase project. So you'll see here the Firebase services that you can use in your Firebase project. Right. So in our case, we're going to register and create another instance of application, Firebase application, web application. So let's just click this icon. Okay. So a pop-up will show up. So let's just follow this instruction. So basically, we need to have another name for our web application instance. So please take note that this application is different to your React application. This is just a Firebase web application instance, so it's totally a different thing. You just have to create an application. So Firebase can consolidate your project services, whatever you need. So in our case, we're going to create a new one. So let's create task tracker web. All right. Web, basically web apps. So it's up to you, whatever you want to name. Then after that, you just need to click this checkbox to set up Firebase hosting because that's the primary intent of this video. So let's just click this. Okay, so as you can see here, the Firebase created one default hosting for you. So in our case, it's just tracker-4A52D. So it's auto-generated hosting name. Okay, so let's just click that drop down, and then we're not going to use this one. Instead, we're going to create a new website. Okay, so basically, as you can see here, 4852D is quite ugly to see. So we're going to customize this domain to something like task tracker web. Okay, so as you can see here, there's a .web.app domain. So it's a default naming convention if you create a Firebase hosting in Firebase. Okay, so let's just rename it to Task Tracker Web. So for us to see it more better and more appealing. And then click register application or register app button. Okay. All right. So next thing that we're going to do is to install the SDK in our local machine using npm. Okay, so going back here to our React.js project, let's just install Firebase. So npm install Firebase. Okay. So once installed, the Firebase, so once installed, let's just go back to the Firebase console and continue the setup from there. So as you can see here, the Firebase web app setup will give you some kind of configuration for your application if you want to access it. So it has the API key, authentication domain, project ID, storage bucket if you have bucket, messaging sender ID, and then your application ID. So in this part, I hide it because it's quite uh, so I hide it in this video because I don't want you guys to access my Firebase configuration. So okay, so copy all of these things in a separate file or anywhere. Then later on, we're going to use it. So I created a Firebase.js file over here. And then I'm going to paste all the important things from there. So later on, I'm going to copy this thing. Okay, so let's just go back to the setup and then click next. Okay, so now we're going to install the Firebase tools. So basically, what is Firebase tools? It's just a CLI that allows you to access your um, Firebase projects and services. So it allows you to manage your service or your concern, Firebase concern in your application. All right, so let's just install it. To install, npm install global Firebase tools. Okay, npm install g Firebase tools. Okay, as you can see, added 17 packages, remove. So finally, we install it already. Then next step will be we're going to log into to our Firebase account, right? So to log in, we just need to type in Firebase login. Then you log in your account accordingly. So the pop-up will show up. So log in your username and email or password. Next. Let's continue. Let's continue again. And there you go. So it will display successful login. All right, once you log in successfully. All right, so going back to the application, as you can see here, you have already logged in, successfully logged into the app. All right, so next up is we're going to initialize a Firebase project in our React application root directory. Okay, so in the same directory, let's just type Firebase space init to initialize our Firebase project. So are you want to proceed? Yes. Okay, so the CLI will give you some kind of questions for you to on which project or uh, features of Firebase do you want to set up. So in our case, we're going to select hosting, configure files for Firebase hosting, and optionally to set up GitHub action for the real-time deployment. Not real-time, for the CI/CD. But now we're not going to use it. So let's just select this hosting. And then since we have created a new project earlier, we're not going to create another one. So instead, we're just going to use an existing project. Okay, so as you can see here, um, you see some kind of default project, right? So we're going to select this one, task tracker for a 52D. Okay. So what do you want to use as a public directory? Just type build, because if you build React project, it will automatically create a build folder for you containing those build files that we're going to deploy to the server or to the hosting. So next question is basically configure as a SPA or single page application. Click yes. Okay. So set up automatic builds and deploy. So in this case, we're going to say no. Okay. All right. And then as you can see here, there's another folder called build. Okay. So these are just generated by Firebase. So later on, we're going to change this to whatever React JS is going to build the project files. Okay. So, okay. And then, as you can see here, if we preview the build folder, there's a Firebase kind of SDK. Welcome to Firebase. It's just because this one is a default uh, files if you set up a Firebase hosting. Okay. So as you can see here, there's two Firebase files that the Firebase CLI created for you. So Firebase RC and then Firebase.json. In Firebase RC, you'll see the default task over here. Not the default task, the default project. Okay, so as you can see, task tracker for a 52D. Currently, it's the default one. And then here in Firebase.json, you're going to see some kind of configuration for your hosting. Okay. So, for example, later on, you're going to learn Firestore. So all of those configuration we're is going to be here if you have, but in our case, it's just Firebase hostings. So as you can see here, all the configuration for our hosting is basically written here in Firebase.json. Okay, so as you can see here, the public attribute is basically build folder. Okay, so basically if we deploy something later on, we're going to get the build files from the build folder. Okay, and yeah, this is just like a git ignore where we ignoring this kind of setup. So we don't want this to be deployed in the public directory. That's why it's written here. All right, so going back to the setup in Firebase web app, uh, you need to specify the name of the site wherein we want to deploy the React application to this website. So in our case, we're going to use Task Tracker Web, as you can see here. So I just added a new property called site and assign a value Task Tracker Web. which is the website name that we have created before. Okay. So let's just run the application again. Okay, it's the same thing. And then we're going to build another batch of files. So we're going to override the default Firebase uh, HTML earlier. So let's just run this code to generate or to build our application, React application. So npm run build. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds. All right, so that's it. All right, as you can see here, we have built the HTML files that we need for the deployment. Okay, so let's okay, so after that, we're going to deploy the Firebase, I mean the React application to the Firebase hosting. So as you can see here, there's a Firebase deploy command dash dash only flag hosting, which is the one that we want to use, task tracker web. So we're going to deploy there the React app that we have built just now. Okay. All right. So let me just show you. So let's deploy it. So going back to React application, let's just uh, write Firebase deploy only hosting colon task tracker web. Okay, there you go. All right. So as you can see here, our website has been deployed to task tracker web app. Okay, we can visit this site. And yeah, that's it. Our website is now up and running in Firebase hosting. So basically, this one is already live. All right. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any question, you can comment down below. All right. Thank you so much and have a good day.